Who's first on the list? All right. Welcome to UA2 Game Studios for a milestone review in week 13. Life or Death. Buckle Fisher. All right.
Unfreeze.
Yeah, I'm looking for that freeze button. Is that on this?
Got it?
Ah, my chest is fine. My chest is looking good.
So tall.
I'll try. Hello, everybody. I'm James Fisher, project lead for Life or Death. This build, the team got a real good push in. We got a lot accomplished. Yes, I'm just going to let it get right in. We got our main hub area in where players will be able to like purchase things, upgrade things. We have our blacksmith in along with a lot of other assets to actually build our hometown. We have markets with levels and everything, as you can see to the left, a little shrine, our houses in, and then we also have our main area where it's like the staging area when you're ready to play online, which is the tavern. So before you go into any match, you'll load into the tavern, you know, sit down, do whatever it is you want to do in the tavern, and then we also gave difficulties for the AI and also polished up the AI now. So now, and added sound and particle effects, so when you actually hit, you also are able to block. So whenever you actually land a blow, there's the particle effects actually work. Sound, and we also have the win-loss in now too, where you can leave the arena after you win. You're prompted to exit. I should have said I have more line. Also stamina for when you're blocking, so that you can't just sit there in cheese mode. Let me get my stamina back up. Oh yeah, and rolling. We fixed rolling. Almost forgot about that. And we fixed the AI's rolling. Forgot about that too. Give this a second. Hopefully I don't die. Oh, there we go. So then the exits open up. And you can leave and you're brought back to the main village where you'll be able to, after that, upgrade and change anything you feel fit from your wins in the arena. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Hello, my name is Marcos Escobar. I am the lead for Rift Wars, the digital card game that we've been working on for this entire semester. This past sprint, we got a few things done. First, for our programming side of things, we managed to get a graveyard up and running for both players, so players could keep track of. Lynn's the one that broke the rule, of course. So we have a graveyard now, so players can keep track of what cards are gone, and they can figure out what cards they have left going for them, and they can strategize a bit better against their opponent, as well as put in some of the background programming that we need for some future updates. For art, we have some artwork played by myself as well as one of our artists on the team. Those cards have already been added to the current build of the game, and so far most of the cards look very nice as a result. For the final sprint, we don't have a lot of time considering we only have 2 weeks for the rest of studio, so it's just getting everything polished, making it look nice, as well as fixing any issues that we're having with the build. So collection, you can see all the cards have been added to the collection already. So here we have the new artwork for the cards. If we just do this a couple of times, I can drop some cards onto the field. Okay. That's not working. Okay, it kind of worked. I have to fix that eventually. But now the game keeps track of what cards have been killed and what's in the graveyard. So now we have a better idea for the players on what cards they have remaining in their decks. And that's it for us. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ghost Stoner. I'm project lead for Gangs of Graffiti. One sec. So, throughout this last week, we worked on getting a lot of the multiplayer added into Photon to clean it up and get it working. We went through and James went through and started working on the art in the world to make it a lot less dull. Added around a lot of the tags and just spiced up the colors and all of that. We added in a lot of pickups. We have tank spawners now so when you flip your tank or it gets destroyed or something, you can actually get out and get into another one. We've also worked on adding in a whole lot of tags. Still have a lot more to add in, but you're able to switch them and able to select them and tag with them and all of that. One moment. Sorry. Okay, so that's not working. Yeah, so thank you.
Oh god, I look ugly today. Oh, there it is. Turn the sound way down.
Hello everybody, my name is John Cavassi. I'm the lead designer for Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. So this week it's been a lot of just revamping and making sure our current systems are working really, really well. Last milestone I presented a working build system with the system building all these different buildings and attaching them to the Dreadnought and them actually moving to the Dreadnought. One thing that we had to do that interfaced with our building system was our upgrade system. We have successfully been able to finish our upgrade system and our unit sort of building system. So essentially we've got buildings that can spawn in units, although they're a little bit broken. We've got new scriptable objects for units. We've got new scriptable objects for upgrades. And yeah. So as you can see, we've also added the tech level, mainly because in the game the tech level basically tells the player what they can and can't build. So let me just do that. Another thing we noticed after playtesting was that a lot of people were really messing up with the ship and getting it to go in all sorts of different directions. Of course, we don't want that, so we've done a little bit to really fix and stabilize the ship for now until we actually do more to fix the ship's piloting. That's the little camera thing. And so yeah, this is our build system working. It all still works. A lot of the stuff we did, again, was back-end stuff. For the next milestone, we plan to really go in and start building that content, getting that stuff in, and yeah. Yep. I'm not touching it. That's why I'm not touching it. Hello everyone, my name is Regis Jerry. I am the project lead for Looters of the Arcane. Most of what we ended up getting in this sprint is art. However, we did manage to get in some new types of sound effects. Oh, let's fix that real fast. So one of our more British students, you know, is kind of like the voice for the future, because in the future everybody would have an awesome British accent. And then he fades off in the distance. So we did get a new terminal in. We changed up the lighting for it because it wasn't drawing the players' attention to it quite as well as we were planning. And then we do have new sound effects for the doors. However, that's not the major piece for this sprint. For starters, we have a lot of new things in Feudal Japan that kind of bring it a little bit more to life. So now we have these bamboo shoots in various areas, and you can move in between them. One of the reasons why this is actually a major thing for the level is the enemies are swords that kind of dance around, so you can end up actually hiding from them inside of there, and they can't actually get to you, so it's a good way to escape from enemies. Kind of adds a new dynamic for the level. And we do have the doll in. We're working on getting the texture finished, and this doll is going to be kind of a centerpiece for the level. It's going to be the main character that you have to interact with in order to actually either, one, find the arcane object, or two, gain some protection against the Japanese swords in the level. And then the final level that we ended up actually working on is Ancient Greece. We expanded the personality of the level just a little bit to be more mischievous. One of the things that we did to kind of show this off is there are hidden walls inside the bottom area of the map, sort of the labyrinth. And down here, what it's supposed to be is that, you know, the soldiers are going to be trying to keep you from getting to the arcane object. We still have our current placeholders in. However, what we're going to be doing is making it to where the level kind of tries to mess with your head a bit. We're trying to turn the player around without actually creating a new maze every time. For instance, like right here, the player would walk in, turn around, and then we're going to be placing in, like, you know, small walls in various areas. So the player would either, one, have to memorize the map, or two, have to figure out what the best path is to get out once they find the object. That's just one of the ways that we're trying to make the player interact with the personality of the level. Thank you for your time.
Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Rocky Vargas, project lead for Communication Meltdown, made by Monster Vault Entertainment. So, the first thing I'm going to showcase is the bar, because last time I showcased the bar, it was just a screenshot. So this time we're going to get an in-depth look as to what the artist actually accomplished. So these bottles and the labels on them were actually made by Andrew, and the bar was made by Victoria. So the big problem inside of virtual reality is the fact that you can pick up any object and you can just put them right up to your face, and you can see anytime that an artist is lazy, you can see all the details that they were lazy about, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So they spent a lot of time trying to make sure that all the assets that they were putting out is of the best quality that they can possibly make them, just because of the fact that we don't want, once we release this game, we don't want other players like critiquing us for something that could have been easily fixed. So you're gonna see here that Andrew doesn't lift. Oh no, I took that out, just kidding. I apologize. So you're gonna see the Boston Ball Entertainment logo, and you're gonna see the bar that Victoria made. So we have mirrors, working mirrors on the bar as well. So beer mug. So you definitely want to drink at this bar. And the next thing that I'm going to showcase is the player model. So the player model is brand new. We don't have the floating spheres anymore. We don't have those white gloves. We actually have a working player model inside of the game. So it's just a lot more interactive for the player. And now we have the steampunk reactor. So last time I showed the steampunk reactor level, it was in through screenshots as well. So this time we're actually getting a full player interaction or player view of the steampunk level. So what you're going to be seeing here is that the reactor itself is yellow. It's not going to be blue anymore. So it's a brand new steampunk theme. And we also have brand new symbols now. So we have the easy, medium, and hard symbols. There's about 80 of them in total, thanks to Victoria. So the easy symbols are easy to describe. Medium and hard are a lot harder, obviously. So since the name of the game is describing symbols to your teammates, the harder it gets, well, the harder the gameplay gets. And these console rings were made by Josh and Schlegel. There's tons of console rings now, so the game is randomized every time, so you're not going to memorize where every single symbol is. You're not going to memorize where every crank is. It's going to be new every single time. And we also have brand new textures for them, and of course, they stick with the style match of steampunk. And then the next thing that you're going to see is actually the boss room. So, you know, with the new steampunk level, obviously the steampunk boss room has to be different too. So it matches everything else, just like everything. But the gameplay is still generally the same. So the boss is the one giving instructions on the second floor down to his employees, and the employees are the ones that are looking for the right symbol or the right button, lever, dial, anything to make sure that the sequence goes right and the steam reactor doesn't go haywire. Cool, and a little wave there with the new glove that we have. And finally, we're excited to announce that we finally have our Steam business account. So we're going to be releasing this game on Steam late December or early January, depending on how it goes, basically, once we implement the Steam features. Cool, and that's pretty much it.
Hello everybody, Todd Dickinson, project lead for SiegeBots. So for this past sprint, we've been working on a lot of behind the scenes stuff again, just because things weren't quite working the way we wanted to. So I'm just going to go ahead and build a bot real quick, just because I'm not sure the AI for the previous ones will work with the newer versions of what we've got. That shouldn't have happened, but okay. So we're just gonna show off simple exploration. Again, the pathfinding things have been tweaked and changed, and it works a lot better now. The AI still kind of gets stuck in corners for weird reasons that we're working on. But yeah, a lot of the stuff we've been working on is behind the scenes. We've tweaked the state machine a little bit and have been working on AI and pathfinding. In Xprint, we have a lot of art available, just hasn't been put in yet. Like I said, they get stuck in corners sometimes. But yeah, that's what we've been working on. Thank you.
All right, everybody. My name is Donald Shepis. I am the team lead for Gray Area. Let me pull this up. So we've got some new UI art created by our lead artist, Kylie Adkins. just adding in, trying to get the things that we've had in for a while that haven't added any art updated so that way they're looking a little better. A launch into the new game. Michaela's done a great job of updating the intro storyboard cinematics, so that way we've got built-in sound effects, visual effects as well for the various components. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our pivot this sprint while this is playing. So we were putting a lot of work into the influence system, which is very dependent on numerous AI states, and getting all of those components of our core gameplay loop to be as efficient as possible, so that way it's a smooth experience for the player. However, because of the limitation of resources that we have, we decided that this sprint would be when we pivot and work on a smaller system that has a little bit more gameplay interaction, it's a little more mechanical, so it should be more immediately fun for the player. And that is our disguise system. So you'll be able to go in, and right now we're set up so that it takes, you scan 3 soldiers, and then you get the ability to don their guise as a disguise. And then there's a little quick time event that you have to constantly keep up with as you're in this disguise to prevent it from dropping, which gives you both a new tool to sneak past the enemies in the level with, as well as just something that's a little more active for players to chew on while they're playing. Alright, and it's loading in the level. We still have some work to do with some optimization, but we have our new control system, so that way when you first jump into the game, now when we do a playtest, we don't have to sit there and explain the controls to the player, they just immediately have it available. We're still working on fixing up our animations. We're thinking we're going to have to move away from root motion to be able to sync the distance the player moves, and get a couple of things like that working. I'm going to try and avoid getting killed, so that way I can actually scan 3 of the enemies. I'm going to lock onto this guy. So we still have our read mind. We've done some further iteration on the actual grabbing of the thought. That's feeding into the influence system. I'm going to try and scan 3 of these guys and not get killed, which is actually a lot more difficult. We've done a couple of steps to improve the lethality of our AI, so that way they're consistently killing the player. And that should be 2. As you can see, we've got some new meshes and textures in, as well as some updates to the lighting. It's just a lot of iteration on this level. And here we have it. So you can see that I am now disguised as one of the soldiers. In the bottom left, we have how much of our detection meter we have, as well as how quickly the bar moves back and forth. So the more you do things that are out of character for the NPC, the faster that will go. And as you can see, every time it hits and goes back without me hitting the space bar and locking onto that position, the value of our disguise goes down and we're closer to dropping it, which I'm not especially good at this, but hopefully I can get to, I'm gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. But there you can see it's a lot more player skill. Now I'm having to manage constantly hitting this reticle, as well as moving throughout the space and trying to get to my area. We've updated our system so that way we've got accurate shadow colliders, so you're actually able to hide in the shadows like I just did right there. And then it looks like I've gotten past, so I'll be able to get to the ranch zone. So we've done further iteration in the ranch zone. We have some updated meshes and a little something I'm going to show. Oh, don't kill me. So yeah, we've dumbed down the AI in this area a little bit just because we're still going through the iterations. We don't have our sight blockers lined up. We've got some more work to do with the lighting, but we've got a solid kind of what we call first pass for the ranch, where it's now up to the kind of minimum bar of quality that we have. But over here, I'm going to use our telekinesis system. I'm going to start ripping off some boards. I'm going to chuck that one. And again, we've just started implementing this. It's control to crouch. So we've got to do some work with where the source for the animation swaps are, because when we go from one state to another, we're having a little bit of clunkiness with that. But again, we just swapped to this sprint, so that's why we have a little more work to do. But you can already see we've got something that's a little more difficult for the player to use, as well as we're doing some more clever things with our gameplay interactions. So now we've got, more than just picking up an object and using it to block line of sight with our characters. We've now got it to allow the player other avenues to enter the areas. We've got our victory condition, which makes it a nice little loop, so that way when we're play testing, players actually have something to accomplish and achieve. And then from here on, it's just going to be a matter of continuing to iterate on our systems, polish them up, and I'll bring them back up to a higher level of quality. And that's Gray Area for this sprint. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tyler Ann Cook, and I am the project lead for the JA game. Let's see. Formerly, or, as we like to say, Project Elephants. All right, so the main thing that we've been working on this sprint is getting in our other cities and towns, and then getting our map working. So as you can see, we're dropping into a new city here, India. So we still have all of our primary and savings and all of this. And then we also have been working on getting our health and morale system working, and so that was going down. And then we were also getting our settings and quit menu working. And so if I go in here, I can buy some meals, and so that takes money out of my account. I can also sleep, and then I have some events. And so this works. I can take the money from the lottery, and now I've got $1,000, which is really nice. Lets me go shop, buy some cool stuff. We do have some new art in, so let me see if I can find some of it. We've got some baklava, got some new food, so go buy it. We've got our tax rate here. On the back end, the tax rate can change. We just haven't gone through and changed that yet. So that's this next sprint we're going to go through and make sure all our numbers are good, balance everything out. So let's go ahead, use our horse, and use our map. So we are updating this map. That's a placeholder for right now. So we can sleep. We've got all the buildings working in each city, so I can pay my debt here. Deposit some money in my savings account, so we're good with that. I've got more shops here, so I can buy some more stuff. So exactly, everything's working in this city. This is Morocco. Michaela made this background for us, and she made all these buildings. Use my horse and go over to Scotland. And then we've got new buildings here. Alex Pabone did a really great job working on all these buildings. And then Jay helped us out with the bank. And so, and then Shep and Cameron have been doing a great job getting all this programming in for us. So that's pretty much where we're at for right now. All the buildings are working in each town, so it's just making sure that we've got all that polish going forward, balancing everything out, hooking everything up, and then getting it fixed and good to go. So quit works, and we are all set. Thank you, guys.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nathaniel White, and I'm team lead for ACS, for game Aegis. Okay. So we've done a lot of work with the UI, and what really changed this sprint was we started using a lot more component-driven, rather than trying to program it as a very large software package, because we're all ACS. So the first thing you'll notice is we have, obviously, a UI. The way this is meant to work is players can independently create their own maps. This is purely for aesthetics right now, but it will have effects on gameplay later. You can place decor, for example, and all of these can obstruct the movement of units through paths. So essentially what happens is, wait, let me get a path. The enemy units can only cross pathable tiles. So long as a pathable tile connects to the edge, units will randomly spawn, and they'll move over to attack the player's castle. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this. And this menus, we have hotkeys for them, 1, 2, and 3. Our artist has done a lot of work to get all this art in here, and it's really looking great. Save. So we don't have models for the enemies yet, but as you can see, they are spawning at all the edges, and if I had more paths, more would spawn and come from different directions. They are automatically pathing along the paths towards the castle. We can place towers. We have a number of different towers, all courtesy of our wonderful artist. So what we've essentially accomplished this sprint is the very basics of a game. In the future, we're looking to obviously retexture a lot of these, put in firing animations, enemy animations, death animations. We're in the middle of deciding whether or not we want to have resources be based on units killed, or whether we want to have sort of resource camps, like this would be from timber mining stone. This would be a lumber camp for mining, not cactuses obviously, but wood. And the eventual idea is that maps are going to be community driven. You can create a map, playtest it, upload it to a server. We have a network expert, which I'm sure can get that done. And you can download and play other people's maps. So that's the eventual idea behind it, and it's really gone well. Thank you.
All right, another round of applause for everybody. Fantastic. And a shout out to your online contributors, everyone. Say hello.
Hello.
All right. Thank you for joining us for our milestone review. We want to invite you back on December 14th, where we'll be live streaming our Greenlight Celebration event and seeing the final polish of these builds. Fantastic semester. All right.
As some of you guys may have heard, my name is Andrew Robbie. I work as a producer at Telltale Games, and I've been in the games industry for the last 5 years. I'm a graduate of UAT. I had all of these lovely teachers. And I just want to say that it's, I actually was in the first 2 classes for this program, and it has come much, much further than when I was here. It's good to see you guys focusing on your core game loops. A lot of times with these projects, I know for myself, people get stuck in the weeds. They focus on things that aren't a part of the game. They want to spend so much time making everything look pretty. But the fact that you guys are actually able to get in and pretty much play all of these is really impressive, especially for this state. And the fact that you guys are working on networking, that you're getting people from other majors, it's also very, very exciting for the program. Going forward, I hope that you guys keep working on these classes and you guys keep working on these projects. These are what are going to help you get jobs. These are the things that you're going to want to showcase. So I know it may seem crappy sometimes to have to stay up late doing some programming or something like this, but this kind of quality work is what people want to see coming out of fresh graduates. This is something that you should really put your heart, your soul, your passion into. I mean, I would say that I'm going to sit here and tear down every single one of these, but I really don't have any complaints. If you guys had specific questions or if you guys wanted input about it, I'd be more than happy to share.
Wow.
I know.
That's fantastic. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which was the best?
That's not going to happen. Close.
Hey, Andrew, go around and play test and then make a decision.
Oh, well, see, you don't want me to do that. I'll break everything.
No, but
Too late, it's already broken.
But yes, if you guys did have any questions for me, I have been here for a while. I will be here for a while. You can ask me here if you guys want to find me outside after this. I'll be around. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. But anything you want to ask, I will take it.
Fantastic.
How terrible was the first Game Studios when you were here?
We spent an entire semester figuring out mocap tech. Never made it in the game. Bad.
That was
Anybody
before I
else?
took on the class.
It was just basically we stole her in her free time to come help us do mocap. No? Nothing?
Wow.
What's up?
If you don't mind me asking, how was it like dealing with like a studio shutting down? Like, is it like how easy do you think it's going to be to bounce back? Or
I think that I'll be fine. It's just the nature of the industry. It's one thing that you really don't think about. You always think that you're going to be able to find the perfect job, and you're going to be able to stay there forever. It's hard, but it's how the industry works. A lot of times companies come up real quick, they make wonderful titles, and then they disappear. That's just how it is. I mean, I've worked at 5 game companies in my time, and 3 of them have shut down. Not while I was there, thankfully, but it's just how it is. And I love all the people that I've worked with. I'm sorry I had to see them all go. If I could bring back Telltale, I would. Yes.
When you first left UAT, what was the transition like when you got into the industry?
Derek, am I allowed to say this?
Yeah, you can tell them what you did wrong.
So when I started, I worked for an indie studio that was local here. You guys may have heard of, called Retora. And then soon after that, I went and did QA for a company called Volition. You guys are, yeah, I know. We worked on games like Saints Row, Red Faction, some other titles I don't remember. This was many, many years ago. But I transitioned from QA into the technical side of things and then became a producer at Telltale. Yeah. What?
What was your favorite thing about the industry so far?
People. The companies aren't what make the games. If you join a company because you want to work for that company and you don't want to work with the people, that's the wrong reason. It's always the people around you. All the people that you have here in the class, be nice to, talk to, be friends with. I mean, I went to Telltale and I didn't realize that there were 15 UAT kids that worked there. These people, you're going to see them out in the industry. It's very, very close-knit. Always be nice and don't make fun of people. Lynn.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Are there any warning signs that you could try to find, I guess, with a game studio to determine if it's maybe going downhill?
I was on vacation and I had to fly back to fire some people, so not always. It's really hit or miss. I mean, it really depends on the company. Sometimes companies are private, sometimes companies are public. Public companies are usually a little safer because you can have a higher gauge on it, but you never know. Unless you get high enough up so you can actually understand the practices, the state of stuff. Stuff can change. It's just how it is. I mean, you can go from being employed to not employed, and you can go to the next great company after that. You might lose a job, but it's always about the steps forward. So fixating on when something is going to close or just be like, oh my God, am I going to lose my job? You can go insane. Trust me, I've gone insane before. Yes, go ahead.
What were some of the things that UAT did not prepare you for when you went to the game studio?
A lot of stuff is generalized just because there's so much stuff in the games industry. Specialization, for instance. So myself, I'm more of a technical producer. I didn't know that existed when I was here. I knew production. For instance, if you're an artist but you love programming, there's a job for that. If you're an artist but you love design, there's a job for that. If there's an artist that loves HCI, there's a job for that. Every single thing has a separate division and separate portions. A lot of people speak generally about what they want to do. I would actually ask all of you that, look through the credits on games. If there's something that really stood out to you, some specific part that you were just like, man, this is, my favorite part about this title. Find out what it is, how that stuff is made. If that's what you want to do, if you want to do stuff like VFX, or if you want to do in-game cutscenes, you want to be a cinematic artist. There's so many different things to do. There's all of this stuff that can fill your niches. And I would actually say to you guys, focus on getting your generals, your basics here, but have an idea of where you want to go from there. You never stop learning in the games industry. I mean, even right now, I'm unemployed taking certifications while I go around the country doing job interviews. It's all about continuing to learn, continuing to grow yourself. Yes, but there's just so much out there. Any other questions?
Well, so from your time here at UAT, what are things that if you could go back and do some things differently, or take different classes or focus on different things, are there anything like that that you would recommend for students who are currently in the program to keep an eye on?
Focus on your base set of skills. Really talk to these people. I mean, your teachers, they have been in the industry, they know this stuff. If there's something that you want to do, or if there's something that you want to work on, chances are that they can help prepare you for that. All the classes that I took, I absolutely loved them. I wouldn't change a thing other than maybe taking advantage of these guys more to pick their brain, figure out what you guys might want to do, figure out where you want to go. That's these people are wonderful. They taught me everything that I know, except for Derek. But no, they are good people. Take advantage of them while you have them. A lot of times you leave UAT or maybe you go out into the workforce. I mean, I still text Lynn, I'm not going to lie. We sent her a picture for Christmas. It's they're very valuable resources. These are people that you are going to pretty much know for the rest of your life. I mean, every single time I come back, I see them. That's just how it is. I always learn something new.
Well, even though I haven't ever taught him anything, it feels good as well. It's like, he was in town, so, and you guys know me, I'm going to push social media, but he pinged me on Facebook, is like, hey, I'm in town, do you guys want me to swing by? And I said, nah, these students aren't worth it. But he insisted coming in, so, but yeah, it's like you said, 15 students at Telltale. We were talking on the car ride over here, like he's looking at places, and I'm asking him, it's like, hey, you're trying to get into this company, do you know this guy over there, because he's an alumni, and he did, and it's like, comparing notes like that, you can keep a nice network going, and it is why we keep pushing you guys, get Facebook, get your LinkedIn, get on Twitter, because these are the kind of things that happen, somebody's in town, they reach out and say, hey, I'm here for 3 days, can I do something, and that's what happened in this case, so.
Fantastic.
I just want to say something about you, just so everyone knows a little bit about Andrew. When he was here, he was one of those students that was always working. He was actually a dual major. He tried to be a triple major, but he actually capped out of credits, as you put it. And so, remember, these are the students, are the ones that get the jobs, are the ones that are working hard all the time. But you might also notice that he's got a super positive attitude, completely opposite of me. And that's a good thing, though. As they say, he's talking about how he's been actually going around and teaching about networking. He's really good at that. That's how he quickly moved up the ranks. It's such a small industry. And if you follow that advice and you're always positive, you're always looking to the next big thing, you treat the people around you good, it's going to come back, and it's going to be a good thing for you. I'm not worried at all that he's going to find a new gig and he's going to be in a good place. Not worried at all, just because of the type of student he is. But this is what we're saying. This is the kind of stuff to help him be successful. I'm hoping that you guys kind of see that. You kind of notice the things that he's kind of exuding from his personality or whatever, and then you guys want to emulate those same things in order to be able to be successful also, because that's how you get in. I mean, the people. He keeps emphasizing people, right? I mean, he mentioned that the business exists, but it's the people that make the business, right? You have those connections. It's such a small industry. You have no idea how small it is. It's funny. You just keep getting this comeback. You'll find out somebody works here, does this, whatever. That's why you always have to be a good people person. He's one of the best persons, so to speak. And so, he's really good. He's a hard worker, and I just wanted to say that about him.
Yeah. Confidence is key. If you can't have pride in your work and you can't talk about it with pride, I mean, why would someone look at you and hire you? It's all about being proud of what you do and putting your heart and soul into this kind of stuff, and that's my passion. Thanks, Michael. Yes.
If you had to choose what you would work on next, what would it be?
Actually, so there's a subdivision, and this is actually one of those things that I had no idea existed when I was here. But what I would love to do is be an account manager at Microsoft. Basically, who they are is they're the Microsoft account holder for studios. So essentially, it's a person who coordinates back and forth between the entire studio. They essentially own those titles. They're literally the person that releases everybody's titles. So they might have, 6 or 7 game companies working on them. At Telltale, I was on 8 game projects at one time, and I just love insanity. If everything on fire around me is I'm happy with everything. Just, you know, the dog. This is fine. That's me. Do we have somebody over here? Yes,
Yep,
first?
right here.
Okay, all right. Yes.
What were your majors here at UAT?
Yeah, sure. I got a bachelor's in game design, a bachelor's in game art and animation.
If we want to connect with you on LinkedIn, how should we go about doing that?
You are more than welcome to do so. However, with that, I'm gonna talk some social media business here. If you do want to connect with me on LinkedIn, that's great. Send me a message with it. Don't send me a generic request. Be sure to, you know, explain, oh yeah, I met you here. I'd love to connect to you for this reason. Just because I tend to peruse them and shuffle them down. But yeah, you guys are more than welcome to, and if you guys wanted to talk to me at any point, I'm happy to provide any feedback, or if you guys want, I don't know, look over a resume or something. Yes. Anybody else?
What are some big mistakes you've seen others make in the game industry, and how you go about avoiding them?
Stop learning. That's the biggest one. Many people get a job, and they just pigeonhole themselves into that position. They're just like, I'm comfortable here, I'm going to stay here, I'm not going to learn anymore, I'm not going to grow. When you find a job, you don't stop learning. You need to constantly be learning. The industry is changing. The technology that we used when I went to school here is vastly different than what it is now. I used to use UDK. The only way that you can build a water system in that is if you use mesh colliders that are square. It's terrible. But, I mean, everything's constantly changing. I've been working on new engines. I've been brushing up on new softwares, all of this different tracking stuff, getting certifications. You need to keep learning. Learning doesn't stop when you leave the classroom. It's all about educating into yourself. It's about bettering yourself. That's what you should focus on. A lot of people will find that they get a job, and it's exactly what they want, and then the position changes, and it's something that they don't know how to do, it's something that they don't understand. That's what you want to avoid. You always want to be the person, when someone asks a question, if you say, yeah, I can do that, you say that enough times, you're going to end up with a pile of work, but people are going to recognize that. They're going to know that they're the person that they can go to.
You want to speak to the prima donna attitude, too?
Oh, yeah. Also, I mean, you can be good, and you can be fantastic, but if you're a pain to work with, it's really bad. You can be the best person in the world at your job, but if you do not show up to work on time and you are just not present, it's like you're not even an employee. I mean, you have to focus on being a team player too. So egos are good when talking about your work and being proud of your teams, but don't use it to sit there and talk about yourself and how you're so much better than your team. Yes?
What software or tool have you used most over the last year?
Don't answer this.
Yeah. Be honest.
Word, Microsoft Word.
Can we take bets?
Excel!
What was that?
I spent my life in spreadsheets. I can program Pac-Man in spreadsheets.
Just saying.
Uh-huh.
No reason I asked that
It's
question.
his fault, by the way. Anybody else? Nothing? Anything's fair game, guys.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you.
What was your most favorite and like least favorite thing about working with Tilted?
My favorite thing was the people. My department was just fantastic. They were a little bit more industry professionals than I. They'd been in there a long time. I mean, I worked with a guy, if you guys have ever seen back in the day, there was Cool Moves by PlayStation. I worked with the guy that was in those, so that was pretty cool. But just, they were all negative Nellies, and I was positive, and they would always talk about, you can't wait for the day that you break. And it was just, it was a glorious time. Still haven't broken yet. But yeah, no, it's the people. The least favorite thing I would say is just, you know, sometimes you don't have enough people. Sometimes you have to work more. Overtime sucks. Overtime happens, especially when you're working in so many good games and so many different things. I love what I do, and I'm happy to do it, but I wouldn't want to force anyone to do it. Mm-hmm. Yes?
The things you learn in your degrees, go into your jobs well, or did you feel like you had to learn new things over again?
Oh, they went in perfectly. So as a producer, I don't spend a whole lot of time in design. I don't spend a lot of time in art and animation. But what that allows me to do, it allows me to communicate effectively with those individuals. So if you're sitting here talking about UV meshes and I have no idea what that is, I'm essentially useless. But if I can sit there and talk with it, have a clear and concise understanding, that's what I get out of it. And I am just absolutely ashamed to say that I really, really love texturing, and I just do that in my free time. That is that man's fault. I own 3ds Max because of you. I have Maya too, Lynn. Yes. Anybody else? Yeah.
So you talked about transitioning and working with people who have, a wealth of more experience than you just by the nature of the industry. How do you go about that process, and how do you kind of make yourself fit in with those people who have, 10, 20, 30 years of experience on you?
So that is a very good question. So first and foremost, a lot of people, especially when they start new jobs, they feel like they don't belong. They feel like they're not good enough. The fact is that you probably beat out 10 other applicants to get that job. It's because you have a good skill set, but it means that you can also grow. Use those people around you. Whenever I would have issues, I would talk to my director. Whenever I had something that I needed to learn or understand, I would talk to other members of my team. Really using those individuals around me because they have this experience, this knowledge, and while some of it you might not want to know, like they programmed a game in Dragon or something like that, it's still cool, and they have a lot of stuff that is valuable to learn. So for instance, I learned that my boss was a paralegal at Comedy Central before she came over here and then became the director of operations at Telltale Games. But I also got to learn all about legal stuff from her. And because of that, I was able to do things like ratings. I was able to submit for ratings. And just all of this understanding and all of this kind of stuff, you don't know what someone knows unless you ask.
Okay, time for one more question.
There's 2 people. How do you fight it?
Let's do 2. That's
All right. Go ahead.
What was the sort of most entertaining experience you've ever had in the game industry?
I don't know if I should talk about that.
And the next question.
Just not if it
find me after. Yeah.
So you talk about like learning afterwards
Mhm.
when you graduate. Do you have any like good resources like for that?
Yeah. So there's a couple of websites that keep up industry standard tools. I would also recommend talking with your teachers because they talk to people like myself who are also in the industry. But I would recommend just Googling things. I don't think that there's a set list, but if you go through and peruse job listings on maybe a company you want to work for, they're going to list off the software and skills that they're looking for, and you can do that. There's also a program called IEP. It's something you should do post-graduation. Don't even think about it right now. But it's a program maintained by industry professionals, and they're constantly updating it. And it's basically just industry standard items. You can go through it, you can test it, you can get certified for it. It's my go-to now. Here I am preaching different things. All right. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you very much.
No. I think Tyler had an excellent solution. You guys really should receive this individual feedback while he is here and willing. So what we're going to do is break for lunch, and then about 12 o'clock, if you leads want to get set up with a workstation and run your build and grab Andrew when you can, get some individual feedback. Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.